Shalom, brothers and sisters from wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to this week's episode. I hope God has been faithful to you and may He continue being faithful to you. Last week we were able to go through chapter 20 of Genesis, and this week we have a beautiful episode in chapter 21. Last week we were able to look at the story of Abraham and this king called Abimelech. We're talking about God actually fighting for us our battles and not actually engaging ourselves into them, and the rewards that come by allowing Him actually to fight for us. May He continue affirming these truths to us, and may we be blessed by allowing Him actually to fight for us. Today we look at this beautiful chapter, chapter 21, and my Bible has given it a subtopic, the birth of Isaac. The Bible records, "Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah. As he said, the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age. At the very time God had promised him, Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 years old, Abraham circumcised him as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born." The Bible records in verse 6, Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." Verse 8, "The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar is Egyptian servant had born to Abraham was mocking. And he said to Abraham, 'Get rid of the slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac.' The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to him, 'Do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring.' Early next morning, Abraham took some food and skin of water and gave them to Hagar and set them out her shoulders, and then set her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. Then, when the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bow shot away, for she thought, 'I cannot watch the boy die.' And she sat there and she began to sob. God heard the boy crying. The angel of the Lord called Hagar from heaven and said to her, 'What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard boy crying as he lies there. Lift your eyes up and take him by the hand, for I will make him a great nation.'" Verse 19 records, "Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy to drink. God was with the boy as he grew up and lived in the desert and became an anchor. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt." Verse 22, At that time, Abimelech the fickle Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything that you do. Now, swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me that the country where you now reside as a foreigner, the same kindness that I showed to you. Sorry, I repeat. Show to me and the country where you now reside as a foreigner the same kindness I have shown you. Abraham said, I swear. And Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. But Abimelech said, I don't know how he has. I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me. I have heard about it only today. So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and 2 men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 lambs from the flock, and Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 lambs you have set apart by themselves? He replied, accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well. So that place was called Beersheba because the 2 men swore an oath there. After the treaty he had made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of the forces, returned to the land of Philistines, and Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of Philistines for a long time. Brethren, brothers and sisters, this is a beautiful and remarkable chapter in the Bible. This is amongst the chapters whereby we see God fulfilling one of his promises to his servant Abraham. Now, Sarah bore a child, and Abraham gave the name Isaac. And Abraham was 100 years by this time. And God is fulfilling his promises to Abraham one by one. And this same time when this son is growing, Sarah notices that the son of the slave is mocking his son. And he says to Abraham, "Wait, you need to chase these people away." And Abraham is distressed because this was concerning his son, Ishmael. But God says, do not be distressed. Remember, I promised that I will also make him a nation. So he tells him, just let them go. And a story is mentioned here of them going. And at some point, actually, after his water had, the water of Hagar and the son was out, he takes the son somewhere, for she could not withstand seeing the son die. And at this time, God calls Hagar and he says, I have heard the boys crying. So he opens up his eyes and he sees somewhere to drink water. And God reminds him of the great promise that he made, that we will also make him a great nation. And this boy grows to be an Arka in the desert of Paran, and his mother looks for a wife from Egypt for her. And at the same time, Abimelech comes with his commander, that is Phicol, to Abraham, and he says, whatever you've been doing, God has always made it prosperous. Please, we need you to swear or to take an oath that you will deal with us with kindness, the same way we dealt with you. And Abraham did the same. And actually, he brings out some 7 lambs to make a treaty between them. And actually that happens. And he also takes time to complain about a well that was seized by some of the servants of Abimelech. And Abimelech ensures that this does not happen again. Now, guys, a few insights around this. One, We serve a faithful God, a God who is able to keep his promises. So long as he has promised, then he will have to fulfill. Look at actually how God does this beautifully. When this guy is 100 years, the age of some of our grandfathers, God gives him a son. He fulfills his promises. And remember when God actually was calling Abraham and was telling him about these things, this must have been more than 20 or 30 years down the line. But this man waits patiently on the Lord, and he believes that this God who has promised me this is faithful actually to accomplish what he has promised me. And at the same time, the wife was so supportive, although of course at some point she thought, this thing is not going to happen the way God has said. But God was so faithful to ensure that whatever he promised, he has given to them. And see, God actually in his promises said, your offspring, I'm going to make them a great nation. Although he chooses actually Isaac to be the one who is going to be reckoned on the promise of God, he also blesses actually Ishmael because he was an offspring. And see, actually in verse 18 he says, I will make this boy also a great nation. And this is because he was coming from the lineage of Abraham, and Abraham was the father, and God blesses him through this. May God help us actually to understand that he will bless us, even those actually who are not part of the blessing. So long as they are associated with us, they might even receive these blessings that God actually has promised us. Remember, God said that the world will be blessed through Abraham, and this is happening because even look at Abimelech and his commander Phicol. They come to him and says, we have noticed that whatever you do is prosperous, and we have to make a treaty with you, because if we do not do this, maybe you might treat us with discreet, maybe sometime later. But he says, no, I will treat you with kindness, and he takes actually an oath because of that. May God help us actually, even in whatever we are doing. May he help us that we may be able to understand that his promises are yes and amen. We just need to wait on him. It is a matter of us waiting, and he will surely going to bless us. Now, after he has blessed us, there is also another question. How do we treat those who are not yet blessed? And we see a good example of actually Abraham saying, even after he has blessed me, I'm not going to treat you guys actually with any kind of ill treat, but I will treat you with kindness. May the Lord actually give us the strength to understand that even after he has blessed us, we will need to treat his people with a lot of kindness, because whatever he has given us, it is not for us to mistreat people, but it is for the purposes of his glory, that people will understand that we serve a faithful and a God who is just, who is able even to bless them, so long as they are willing to walk in his righteousness, so long as they are willing to obey his call in whatever he is calling them into. May God help us actually in whatever he has blessed us with, to be able to be good representatives of him, and people actually will see him through our doings and through everything that we are supposed to be doing. May he also help us that we'll be patient enough with him, we'll be patient to wait upon his blessings and his promises the way he has made them known to us, and that in all things God is going to lead us and bless us in a mighty and a great way. May he continue blessing you, walking with you, and keep you in all things. Shalom.